If you clicked on this video, you likely watched one or more of the few shows behind me here, and you know what they all have in common. They're all mid as hell. See these? None of these are above 7 out of 10s. But the question is, why? To find that out, let's go back to the beginning. See, back in 2018 and 2019, when the MCU was concluding with Infinity War and Endgame, Disney decided to make a great idea and craft their own streaming platform. I'm sure all of you know Disney Plus. Now, Disney knew that nobody in their right fucking mind would purchase Disney Plus if it was only Pixar films and Disney animations. So Disney decided, hey, you know what? Let's throw Marvel, let's throw Star Wars in there, and maybe people will buy it. Pretty good idea, actually, okay? Pretty good scam. Disney figured they could compete with Netflix and Hulu by using exclusive characters from their shows and movies like Star Wars, like Marvel, so that people would have to buy Disney Plus to access these shows. And to be honest, that's a pretty good idea. Which brings us to our first show, The Mandalorian. The Mandalorian served as the first incentive for people to buy Disney Plus. It sure as hell was. Especially after coming off those shitty sequels from Star Wars, The Mandalorian brought Star Wars back. What a great and captivating first season. Disney Plus looked like it had some potential to grow, it had some room, and we heard around the corner that they were going to start releasing Marvel TV shows, starting off with WandaVision featuring Wanda and Vision. I mean, obviously. We knew it was too good to be true. We knew Disney actually making good decisions was too good to be true. WandaVision was ass, okay? Alright, WandaVision was ass. 8 episodes of content that was creative, yes. Very weird, yes. But most importantly, not that good. WandaVision, to me, got a 6 out of 10, simply because of some of the unnecessary character development, and I was disappointed with how it connected to Doctor Strange. And okay, I mean, it's not the end of the world. WandaVision didn't do too well. They got new shows coming around the corner every day. Here we go, Falcon and the Winter Soldier. 2 characters that we're also familiar with, just like WandaVision. This was the best Marvel show out of all the shows we've gotten so far. And this show, at best, gets a 7 out of 10. The reason this show had the upper hand over others is because it felt very connected to the Marvel Universe. Most importantly, it finished Captain America's story. Captain America was a huge character in the MCU, obviously. He's one of the big 3. And him dying in Endgame felt somewhat unsatisfying. That his legacy wouldn't be continued, that, who was going to become the next Captain America. And quickly, in this TV show, they summed that up. They gave Falcon the spotlight. And that was the point of that show. It felt like that show truly had a meaning. It felt like it had a purpose for completing another character's legacy. Other than that, though, besides doing that, everything else about it was a 7 out of 10. Loki. I wanted it to be better, but once again, another mid-television show. At this point, I had finished watching 3 Marvel TV shows, and I was pretty convinced. I thought about them a lot, and I was like, each of them were barely worth my time. They were good, and I was happy I watched them. They all felt like very unsatisfying Marvel content. Same thing with Hawkeye. Hawkeye comes out around Christmas. I was excited for Hawkeye because they're introducing Kate Bishop, who's a cool character, and it was an actress that we all knew. That show was below mid, honestly. That shit gets a 5. What were they doing with Hawkeye, bro? I mean, they just made it so kid-friendly and so related to the holidays and so away from what the MCU feels like. I really was not fucking with Hawkeye specifically. And then I had really high hopes for Moon Knight. Holy shit, I love Moon Knight. What a dope costume he's wearing. Moon Knight's top 3 coolest looking characters in the MCU right now. But you know how they made me cry? You know how? They made his show shitty. Moon Knight really only had like 1.5 good episodes, and those were the last 2. And there were cool concepts in Moon Knight, and it really had me hooked, but it all led to nothing. Now we have Miss Marvel out right now, and do I even want to start that television show? Now that we've talked about all the Marvel shows and how they're all kind of mid, we have to figure out what they have in common as to why they're all bad. WandaVision, Loki, Falcon and Winter Soldier, and Hawkeye are shows that we already are familiar with the characters. Many of these shows had problems truly making a captivating story for these characters with only 6 episodes of airtime. Now you have to understand that 6 episodes of airtime is a lot because each episode's 45 to an hour, which means that realistically you're getting more time for this specific character than an entire movie. Yet often after we finish these shows, we feel very unsatisfied with how the stories progressed from beginning to end. I partially think that's because of pacing. They're trying to fit a completed character development changing story in only 6 episodes. Like I said, that's a lot of time, but you also have to understand that you have to introduce a villain. In all these shows, they're introducing a villain and building on their story. They're introducing side characters and building on their stories. Things that don't really matter to the grand scale of the MCU, but the show trying to make it matter to this particular show, when in reality, nobody really gives a shit. The stories are starting to become way too dramatic. In WandaVision, for example, I felt they spent a lot of time on the FBI people. Like, I understand that the main point of the story was like stopping Wanda and trying to help these people that were inside, but holy shit, those people were not interesting. Those people will not be important later. And when you think about it, those people really didn't do anything to the story at all. We wasted the first 4 or 5 episodes watching these people watch Wanda. Obviously, none of them were in her power level. They couldn't do anything. Realistically, everything started actually at episode 6. By then, we got all this character development for characters that we already knew. By the end of the show, when everything actually got revealed, it felt like we got one satisfying episode, but that's not enough to make a good conclusion. Many of the stories feel the same way, with other characters getting too much time, pacing being too off within these 6 episodes to make the ending feel good. Shows like Hawkeye just spawned Kingpin in the last 2 episodes and just tell us, you know, let's go with it. Let's kill him and then let's just end it there. That's the entire show. This Marvel show 6-episode pattern of introducing, explaining, building side characters, learn new powers, complete mission, and then finish the show is just not that interesting. Marvel Studios needs to slow down on these TV shows personally. I understand they want to use this as a way to introduce new characters into these new phases. Character introductions through movies has always gone better. Perhaps some of these characters really don't have the meat and simply the interest behind them to generate a whole TV show based off them. For example, characters like Black Panther, Falcon, they're really loved, and they came in through the movies in really seamless ways. This feels more natural, this feels more integrated into the MCU, and it keeps these TV shows from being overextended and just made just for the sake of making the show. Because really, I think that's what it is. Marvel's got like 7 more TV shows on deck. They're pumping these shits out like it's fucking Ubisoft video games. So many new shows coming, and realistically, they're all probably going to be ass because of the same patterns that they're following that aren't getting new people excited. On the other hand, the Star Wars TV shows, those are even worse. The Mandalorian was really good. The first 2 seasons were enjoyable. I've actually watched it twice. Book of Boba Fett came out building off the Mandalorian. Well, that shit was just flatline mid. I could give you the reasons why it's mid in a whole video, but it really comes down to is that shit was just not what anyone was expecting. Like, Boba Fett acted a very different way in the story that we weren't necessarily used to his character acting like. And I'm not really sure if I agree with the direction that they went down with it. Boba Fett should have been more like the Mandalorian instead of the Mandalorian being more like Boba Fett. Not to mention, Mandalorian comes in for an episode and literally steals the entire show away from Boba Fett. That was an amazing episode where the Mandalorian came in, where Luke came in, where all these cameos came in. That was amazing. But that was pretty much the only benefit we got from watching the Book of Boba Fett. And the thing is that the creators knew that. They knew that the show wasn't that good. They knew that we were waiting for those cameo episodes. They knew that that's what people wanted. Instead of making actual good content with Boba Fett, they decided, let's work off the hype of what we already have going. Additionally, starting right now, which I've already talked about, Obi-Wan Kenobi is doing the same exact thing. Spoiler alert, by the way, so you might want to skip a couple seconds ahead to the end. Obi-Wan Kenobi's first 4 episodes, just not good. But you can already tell based on what they did with episode 5. They're working off the same hype that Boba Fett was trying to work off. Bringing in characters, showing scenes from the past, giving the fans what they want for high quality content. Look, I'm never against fan service, okay? Not me. But when you are truly and single-handedly relying on it to keep your show even somewhat relevant and interesting, that's when you have to say, okay, maybe we should take a step back and redo the entire fucking show. Obi-Wan Kenobi's ass, and it makes me so sad. So overall, out of all these Marvel shows that I just mentioned, max 2 of them are decent. 2 of them are worth your time to watch. That's unacceptable because these shows have the budget. They have the support. They're not lacking in any other way but the writing and direction. They have unlimited funds to produce any combination of content they could want, and yet they failed more than 80% of the time. None of these shows have huge fan bases. None of these shows are really loved, and that's because none of them have stuck with anybody, with the exception of one, and that's The Mandalorian. But what they have to do to be able to even slightly fix this, 1, slow down, okay? Just slow down. You don't have to release TV shows every 2 months, okay? Just breathe. Make your content slower. Write that shit. Okay, I know they got people on go at Disney over there. Slow down. 2, not every show has to be 6 episodes, okay? 6 episodes is a hard time to work with. You can make your episodes longer and shorter and still in 6 episodes, but this 6 episode, 40-minute thing, it's just not keeping the pacing going for you guys. 3, make sure you're focusing on the characters of the show a lot. I'm not saying that the shows obviously aren't about the characters, but make sure there's 6 episodes worth of screen time and the development that they need to make the show feel complete. Guys, I hope you did enjoy this video and this analysis on why Disney shows are not good. I hope I gave you enough insight as to why each show isn't good and overall what they need to change. If you guys did enjoy, make sure you leave a like, comment, and subscribe for more content like this. Always, see you in the next one. Peace out.